Greetings everyone, Evan here, back again. Today I'm going to bring you kind of a different kind of video. Normally on my channel, as far as technology video goes, I try to do things relating to gaming PC builds, graphics cards, and really more of the hardware sort of things. I don't really delve typically into the enthusiast grade news or that sort of thing, or the up-to-date kind of technology stuff that you would see on other channels. I'm normally more focused on the price performance and more so on the complete system building side of things. But this has just come out just today, or very recently, depending on when this video gets uploaded. The new GeForce GTX 1080 and 1070, which just launched today, the 10th of June 2016, the 1070 anyway, just launched today, will not support 3-way and 4-way SLI for gaming. Simply is not going to happen. Initially, there was some confusion. NVIDIA commented and said that they were going to be enabling 3-way and 4-way SLI with the use of a special enthusiast grade key, which is really the only crowd this is affecting, is the enthusiasts, the people who will spend, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 on a gaming PC. These are the kinds of people that would throw GTX Titans or R9 390X and 3-4-way Crossfire SLI and just, get the absolute maximum gaming performance that they possibly could for their money. Unfortunately, with the GTX 1080 and 1070, this isn't going to be possible, and I'm going to take you through why. This is an article from PC Perspective. I'm sure this isn't the only article out there, but I figured this covered it the best, and they reviewed it, they tested it themselves, they tried to get the drivers to work with games and stuff, and it turns out this is more than likely just simply not going to be possible. Now, what is SLI? If you're not familiar with SLI, SLI is basically the equivalent of AMD's Crossfire, if you're familiar with that. If not, SLI basically enables you to combine 2, 3, or 4 individual graphics cards in your system by NVIDIA so that you can combine their performance together for one complete performance gain. They act basically as one unit. This will show increased frames per second, increased benchmarks, basically an overall better systems. The returns are not necessarily, the returns scale, they do not necessarily double. You won't get 100% better performance with every card that you add. That's why typically 2-way SLI was the maximum for your average person. But enthusiasts, of course, want to get every bit of power, and they don't really care about price to performance, so they're just going to throw 4 graphics cards into their systems, again, simply because they can. Now, what NVIDIA has basically said, and if we scroll down here and take a look at it, as we can see, it was attempted to put 10 GTX 1080s together. That's about $1,800 to $2,000. I'm not even sure how much, depending on what you're paying for these graphics cards right now. That is a lot of money sitting there. That is a lot of graphics horsepower. And if we scroll down, we can see that it was attempted. As we can see here, they attempted to get this physics to go. They attempted to use it in SLI. And as we can see here, this is basically shows that only GTX 1081 and GTX 1082 was fully utilized in the SLI configuration. GTX 1083 and 4 are recognized, but are not being utilized, and that is the biggest problem here. Scrolling down even further, we can even go ahead and see that it does in fact work with benchmarks. 3D Mark, Firestrike, those sort of benchmarking software will go ahead, take a look at this, and they will recognize every GPU. As you can see, it got a score of 17,000. That is incredible. I believe there's a graph here that actually shows the difference here. GTX 1080 in 4-way is 17,000. A Radeon Pro Duo is only 6,000, and an R9 Nano is 6,000. That is incredible returns, incredible performance. It would no doubt show. It might be for the first time ever that 4K gaming at ultra settings would actually be feasible. With these previous generation cards, the 970s and the 390s and the 380s and stuff, it really came down to the fact that ultra 4K gaming really was not feasible. You could get decent frames per second, but on the current architectures, I guess not so current anymore, a lot of micro-stuttering would take place, a lot of frame drops would take place, and really it was just simply too much demand for the current, at the time of course, graphics hardware. With this and the new way that these Pascal and Polaris chips work, Ultra 4K gaming could actually finally be a possibility. We could finally have crossed that threshold into the 4K gaming at really a competitive level with 1080p and 1440p. But unfortunately, NVIDIA, for whatever reason, has really seemingly artificially made it so that this isn't possible. Scrolling down here, we actually have a quote. I guess I'll go ahead and give it a read here. With the GeForce 10 series, we're investing heavily in a two-way SLI with our new high bandwidth bridge, which doubles the SLI bandwidth for faster, smoother gaming at ultra-high resolutions and refresh rate, and NVIDIA game-ready SLI profiles. To ensure the best possible gaming experience on our GeForce 10 series GPUs, we're focusing our efforts on two-way SLI only, and will continue to include two-way SLI profiles in our game-ready drivers. For our overclocking community, our game-ready drivers will also include SLI profiles for 3- and 4-way configurations for specific overclocking applications only, including Firestrike, Uni-Engine, and Catzilla. What? Yeah, that was my reaction too. So basically what NVIDIA is saying is that this technology is perfectly feasible. They don't want to fall behind in the synthetic benchmarks and, drop down below AMD's upcoming Polaris chips, but they're not going to enable it for games. This is very, very strange, and getting more so into my personal opinions here, I personally am not really a NVIDIA fan anyway. This seems like a totally artificial limitation. It seems like something that Apple would pull, stating that this isn't feasible or we're focusing on something to bring you a better experience. In whose opinion, and why? The reaction from the comment section, which is basically people are considering AMD for this generation. I can't say I blame them. People are downright outraged by this. And again, probably with good reason. People that really wanted to have these 4-way and 3-way SLI configurations may have already pre-ordered or even bought their 1080s. The 1070 came out today. People who have not seen this article are people that just buy NVIDIA because they don't really look deep into these sorts of things, have no idea about this limitation, and simply are going to assume that it's going to be included because it was included in the last generation. That's unbelievable. That is like a backstab to this community. Honestly, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about this sort of limitation on NVIDIA's part. I'd really like to discuss it in the comment section and really like to see what other people's thoughts on this, because I don't personally have a lot of friends that are into this really hardcore tech stuff, so really I have to go and visit forums just the same as other people and go to see, what their opinions are. And I'm sure other larger channels on YouTube have talked about this. I'm sure Linus Tech Tips or Awesome Sauce Networks or all those other people have already made a video about this. But in my opinion, it's just really interesting to me that NVIDIA would go ahead and try to, where they focus so hard in the enthusiast market, that's where these two differ. AMD is launching only one graphics card at late June, I believe it's June 29th. The Radeon 480 is going to come out at a starting price of $199. That is way out of the market share for the new 1070 and 1080. AMD is gunning for that average gamer, average person who just wants to game at higher ultra settings on 1080p, which the 480 will do perfectly. In Crossfire, it shows that the 480 will actually beat out the 1070, come very close to a single 1080 card. So why in the world, when NVIDIA was focusing on the high-end market with their 1080 and 1070, and instead choosing to let their lower-end graphics card like the 950 and 750 Ti get ever older and basically fall behind, would they decide to implement this limitation? It almost says to me that it's possible that with the current architecture, NVIDIA actually ran into some sort of a problem where either it wasn't supported or it did not perform well in games in 3- and 4-way SLI, and instead NVIDIA decided that instead of working around that problem or simply admitting that it was a problem, they decided to disguise it as it was a conscious decision on their part to focus on 2-way SLI. That's just a theory, of course, but why else would NVIDIA instead decide that this isn't even a possibility? Maybe a hack will come out. Maybe this isn't even an actual limitation, similar to the way that Intel's non-K chips, such as the 6600 non-K or the 6500 or the 6400 i5 Skylake series, can easily be overclockable. There's no problem with overclocking those chips whatsoever. But instead, Intel likes to come out and say every now and again that these chips are not made for overclocking and do not overclock well. Yeah, right. We all know that's an artificial limitation on Intel's part to get you to pay the extra $40 premium for a K chip. That's why I am usually partial to AMD. They usually don't practice things like that. All their graphics cards are overclockable. There's no signs that this generation won't support up to 4-way crossfire with no problems. For the most part, all of their CPUs are overclockable, and really AMD is really becoming more and more enthusiast-friendly, even though that's the market share that the NVIDIA GeForce was going to be going for. Of course, that's just my theory. Maybe there's some other things. Maybe people have totally other opinions, and this doesn't matter to the great majority. They feel as though two 1080s is plenty or two 1070s is plenty. I really don't know. Anyway, I think that's enough. I've ranted along enough about this. Leave a comment down below. Let me know if you enjoyed the video. Give it a like. If you didn't, give it a dislike. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video. Thank you very much for watching, everyone.